Hi, welcome to the Keep or Sell show. Who stays, who goes, who knows? Sam, appreciate you joining me. Let's just get straight into it. Obviously, we are in the relegation now. We are back in the Championship. We're going to go through most of the players who are in the squad at the moment, even if they are leaving this summer. We're going to take a quick look into them and see who we do think will go, who will stay into the Championship. So firstly, we'll talk about Jamie Vardy. Does he stay? Does he go?
I think that he's got 1 year left on his contract. And I do think he's going to run it out at Leicester. He's probably going to take the pay cut because I think he's loyal to Leicester. And I think his mission is going to be to get Leicester promoted back in this season. And he'll happily retire knowing that his club has gone through the loops and he's leaving them in a good position in the Premier League again.
Yeah, I agree. Again, I think out of all the three strikers we're going to be talking about today, I think Vardy is the only one for me that's going to definitely stay. Obviously, he was gutted that we've got relegated. He's the one that said it. We've got to win 2 games out of 2 before we played the Newcastle game. And as much as he didn't really impact the season with him scoring, he obviously is going to be still good enough.
Which isn't necessarily his fault.
No, obviously not. But he's still good enough for me to say he's Premier League quality. And if he goes down to the Championship, he should be easily scoring goals. So for me, he stays as well. So we're going to put Vardy into the keep.
Yeah.
Next, we've got Dennis Praet.
I think if you're going to start off, I think it's a real shame that we've, not played him to his strengths and not played as much as we could have, because obviously he was a very hot topic player when we signed him. He came from the Italian league. I believe he had quite a good spell out there. And we signed him looking at all this is a good replacement in the midfield for us. Obviously, he's come in. We've had a few manager changes since he's come in. He's just not really squeezed into any of the teams. So I think, unfortunately, he is one that will just go, especially now down Championship. He's not played any. I also think he is, maybe like European quality, maybe in a top 8 team. Maybe not in the Premier League, but, in a European competition, maybe.
Yeah, like you said, he's not been given much game time at all, has he, this season? Obviously, when Barnes got injured, he did get put into more of the games, but there's something there where we've always wanted to see him play, but because of the midfielders we've had, like the likes of Youri, Tielemans, Maddison,
even
Ndidi at times.
Coming in this season. Even Dewsbury-Hall coming in this season.
Yeah, exactly. There's so many spaces where he just can't fit in. And when he has been able to be put in, it's more the winger role, and he's just not. He's not suited to there. But again, for me, I want to keep him, but I just know he's not going to stay because he was wanting to go to Torino last year because he wasn't getting into the squad.
Yeah,
Rodgers said about him getting more game time. That did not happen, and he's barely played a game this season, so I can see him moving on.
Yeah, just going to pull up a couple of comments. Read this one from James saying, "Can we afford to keep Vardy on, who's 130, 140 grand a week?" Even with a pay cut, I think realistically the club needs to take some chances. They do need to just spend a little bit more than what they're going to, and it's going to be a net negative season for them. But they just have to do it. To get back into the Premier League, it's a massive, financial ask to do to keep us in the Championship for another season after this one. It is, they said 2/3 of the income is gone instantly from not being in the Premier League. So realistically, I think we have to spend a little bit of money to make a little bit of money. This one as well from Facebook user, you're saying it's all good. Talk who stays. We need a manager first. Yes, keep a lookout. Obviously, we've been talking about that in previous shows. Phil did one yesterday. So did you, really, talking about who could come in and everything like that. So go back to our channel. We have done that already. So now we are moving on this week. Just all the positives and negatives. Obviously, a lot more negatives to take from the season. And today we're just doing who goes, who do we sell, and stuff like that.
Yeah. Going back to the James comment quickly though, would Vardy take a pay cut? I think we have to. Like I say, like you said, we have to because we're going to be on a losing area money wise at the moment anyway. So, and if you think about it, if you do get rid of all your Premier League quality, you're basically just going to be stuck in the Championship. We need to try and, as much as it might hurt us by putting Vardy, even if it's still on 100k, when most players in the Championship are on 50k max, you've got to, because if he's the one that stays and scores 25 goals next season and gets us back into the Premier League, you'd be like, wow, okay, fair enough.
And he probably is going to get a pay cut in some way, shape, or form, as is probably a lot of the players. Because I assume in every contract nowadays, there's some kind of, if we get relegated, you get a pay cut, and for Vardy's case, he's deserved the money he's on realistically, but I think because he's so loyal to Leicester, he'll willingly take that pay cut for a season to get us back into. And it's a Vardy thing to do, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, exactly. I can't see him leaving. I think out of the three strikers, I've said that I think he'll be the one that stays if both the other ones go. Maybe so, but we'll talk about them a bit later. Going back to Dennis Praet, are we saying both?
Drifted a little bit there.
Are we saying sell?
I think so. No, I don't want to sell him. I think he could have been a good player, like a lot of players could have been. But for me, Dennis Praet, again, he's going to want to be playing more regular football. And even in the Championship, I don't see him getting regular football with us the way we have been playing.
Yeah, again, I can't see him staying, so we're going to have to sell him. Daniel Amartey, obviously, next one on the list. He's been linked heavily with, is it AC Milan? And he's played probably one of the most game times of the season until the end of the season anyway. And
yeah.
Does he stay for you? For me, he's been a brilliant squad player. He was here since when we won the league, wasn't he? So
yeah, he's one of the
back in the day. So
Premier League winning players.
I mean, he's still a good squad player. Does he stay in the Championship? I think it's a bit risky because we've always said he's a bit of a risky one in the Premier League.
I think you look at it a bit like this, really. I don't think we're going to offer him a new contract. It's not about whether he stays or not. He's got no contract. I don't think we're going to offer him. I think we offered him a big contract when he broke his leg. Obviously, I think this season we did win the league. He broke his leg, and it took him a while to come back. And he has been a good squad player, good when needed. Again, this season we've played to his weaknesses, not his strengths, which is obviously where liability comes from. Obviously, AC Milan, they're a top European club, so if someone like them are picking up him, obviously they see something in him. But again, they're thinking he's a free player. He's probably, I wouldn't say in his prime, but he's definitely, probably the best he'll ever be at the moment for his standards. So
again, I think we've got to say, as much as he's going to be out of contract, so he probably will go. You've got to think in the Championship, you want to be spot on with what you're doing. Again, with him, is he ever spot on? I don't think so. And like I say, he's making mistakes all the time. And I think even in the Championship, it'll be even worse.
We've got a lot of centre backs at the moment where I think we're going to just want to try and push that wage bill down. So by him going on out of contract anyway, I think it stays that way. And he goes. It's not a sell. He just goes, doesn't he? I think.
So is that just leave?
I think he'd just leave in the context, not in a negative way. In a way that he's just gone. He's out of contract. We don't give him a new one.
Yeah, and that's fine. Next one, Ricardo Pereira. Obviously, he's still in contract until 2025, I think. For me, one of the best left backs or right backs or even full backs we've got in the club. Too injury prone now.
I think that's the biggest issue. I think he if he was on form and he was playing to the standards we know he can play, he goes to a top Champions League side. But because he's so injury prone, I don't think it's a question of if we want to keep or sell him. I think he just does stay because he's on probably, I think he's got 2 or 3 years left on a big contract. Who's going to come in and pay him off? Because knowing Leicester probably be asking for something like 20 to 30 million for him. And clubs would be like, well, he's just been out for the past 2 years on pretty nasty injuries and he's come back. He's had 2 or 3 little injuries that keep him out of playing games. So unfortunately, I don't think we're going to see him go for money. I think he only stays because I don't think anyone's going to come in for him.
No, you'd think when we play in the Championship and if he does start, you'd think how the hell is this guy got into a Championship side?
I do know that, but the Championship is a very aggressive league. Someone like Praet, he could get snapped really easy. How he's very injury prone in the Premier League. In the Championship, those tackles are a lot more crunching. They come in quicker. They don't get you don't get as much of a penalisation from it. So again, Praet, he's very injury prone. That one bad tackle against your Plymouth, whoever, just anyone's going to put a crunching tackle in.
I think on his day though, if he gets back to full fitness and he's fit,
he could proper tear up the Championship next year if he's fully fit. But if not, again, Justin is on the same thing. But Praet for me, I think he just stays. I think we keep him.
I think keep. Yeah, I think as well with the contract, he's obviously shown the loyalty and said that I want to stay here. Maybe if he was fit, obviously not getting injured as much, he probably would have gone by now. But like I say, because he's injured, he's signed a long contract. We've kind of got to keep him either way. Castagno, same position really, or even left back at times. For me, Castagna just is going to go.
Yeah.
I think not because he's quality. I don't rate him as highly as someone like Ricardo, but I think he's quite sought after in somewhere like this in the Italian league.
Yeah, again, this is obviously, I think we're basing this a lot on our own personal feelings and what we also do think would happen. So I think I kind of agree with you. Castagna, I think he's been good enough this year to get himself moved to a top side outside of the Premier League.
Yeah.
But he's played a lot of games. You've got to look at that. He's played 40, 50 games this season alone for Leicester. Obviously, with the competitions we're in, he's been in a lot of feature because he's one of the only right backs we've had. And unfortunately, I think us getting relegated does really say he knows it, and I think it's right to say he is better than Championship quality. So for me, I can see him going Serie A, Bundesliga,
I can see him
French
going back
League.
to his old club in somewhere like
something like that.
Atalanta or.
And I think again he would be a great addition to the Championship side. I think he'd be very good and consistent in the team when we've got a lot of injuries. But I think again we're going to cash out. Cause how long has he got left on his contract? Really, that's a big thing.
I'm not too sure.
I don't think he's got too long on it, so I think you'll see him. And I think you see the club say, listen, if someone comes in for 10 to 15 million, it's not probably as much money as we would have liked to sell him for if we were to sell him, but we need to make some money. We need to, cut back on wages. And I think Castagna, again, he's one of those players which would be looking to leave the club, brings in a bit of cash and also docks him off the wage bill.
That's what I mean. It's another thing where you've got to think we have got to build a pot of money to start buying players as well. And I don't think, if I said that Castagna would leave, I don't think many people would be too annoyed or I don't know. I know he's a good player, but it's like a Maddison. If we lose Maddison, we know that quality's gone.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Castagna is very replaceable.
Yes,
as a player, and we have the replacement in Justin and Pereira when they're fit in the team in itself. So it's not a massive loss, but again, like you say, the Championship season has to be perfect.
Yeah,
Castagna, if he goes, that's a shame. But Pereira either needs to be 100% fit, or so does Justin, or we bring in a brand new right back, really.
Or, again, after we put Castagna in, sell? Castagna in sell?
Castagna, I think so, yeah. I think he goes, unfortunately. Like I said, I think he's been a great servant for the club for the past 4 years on his day. Brilliant player this season. In the back, it's not entirely his fault, but in the back line of defence, that's been absolutely shocking all season. I think we might see, maybe I don't think we sell him for as much as we would have liked to, just because he has been a part of the four that's conceded, 60, 70 odd goals this year.
Yeah, so obviously we'll talk about the other fullback now, we might as well. Like you said, with Castagna going, and you've got the replacement of someone like Pereira. James Justin, obviously he's been injured a lot this season. He couldn't get into the squad because of the 25-man squad now. But if Ricardo's not fit, he can play at right back, and you could use someone like Christensen at left back. So JJ, does he stay for you? Obviously, he's been heavily linked with the likes of, was it Roma?
Yeah, I'm 50-50. For me, I'd love Justin to stay because I think, again, he would be one that would come back and tear it up into the Championship. Obviously, he's done it with Luton. Was he in Championship with Luton or was it League One?
Yes, he was Championship with Luton.
So, obviously, he's got Championship experience. Again, I think he's better than Championship quality. I think we have seen that, obviously, what did he do his ACL, didn't he?
Yeah.
So that's obviously a massive setback for any football player. So I think he stays for one more season, really. Because of his injuries, I think he'll give himself a real big push in the Championship. And regardless of if we go up or stay down, I think you'll see him go to a top club. But I think just because of his setbacks, I don't think we'd want to cash out. Again, he's one of those players where he's on a pretty decent contract, where we're like, 15 million from now is probably not quite, enough because it's about what we paid for him. So I think they'd rather see him stay. And if he's happy to stay, I think he'll feature quite a lot next season. Yeah,
and again, we did give him the chance to play in the Premier League, which, again, for many players in the Championship to come up to the Premier League, they've got to be a bit more loyal and a bit respectful that we've said that they're good enough to be in the Premier League. So hopefully he stays loyal and gives us one more year to see if we can get pushed straight back to the Premier League. For me, we keep James Justin in the side. Youri Tielemans, we'll come back to one which we just know that's probably going to be straight on the list. But just get rid of.
It's not even a question to get rid of. He's out of contract, isn't he? He's not, as of, I think it's the end of June is when players' contracts officially expire. So he is one that's going to be off the wages because, again, he's probably on 100 odd grand a week. And if you ask me, really, he has been a liability this season. I don't think he's been as good as he has been. I think we've seen it since January when he didn't get a move in January to Arsenal when no club really came knocking. Because, again, we might have been asking for 30 million for someone who was going in 5 months anyway. They were like, we'll just wait. So for me, he doesn't stay, and he was pulling the 50-50s, really. He wouldn't even do for the last 5 months 50-50 challenges. So again, I don't see us offering him a new contract at all. And I think he's a massive one that needs to get out of the club just so the wage will can come down. I mean, like, he's out of contract anyway, so I think he's as good as gone right now.
Yeah. As much all I'm going to say is pretty much thank you to Youri, because he has done stuff in the past. He obviously was brilliant for us on the loan season. He came in, did okay. Obviously, we know everything about the FA Cup goal. You can't take that away from him. It's just a shame that he has got a relegation on his CV now, really, hasn't it? So
yeah, I think he doesn't really. Again, I think he has himself to blame as part of that, because when you're playing for Leicester and you're in the situation that we're in, you've got to just pull your punches. And we've been saying, even yourself and myself, really, for the past few months, why is Tielemans in that team again? He's just going to pull the punches. He's not actually going to do anything.
Yeah,
he never went for the 50-50s, but we stuck with him because it's kind of how that's what we thought was the best, style to play with him in the team. But I think a lot of fans would have disagreed at the time, myself included. But, he's off the contract. Heard he was in Paris already anyway, so could see him go to PSG before we know it. And again, I think he's one of those players you will see go to a Champions League side, because he's got a good reputation in and around himself. And I'm sure for free, he's a good squad depth player for a lot of top sides.
I think we'll see wherever he goes. I think we'll see the difference between playing for Leicester and it is playing for another club.
Massively.
Again, you might not even see the same quality. You might even see just the same. We never know.
You saw when we were playing well, he was playing well. He's one of those players that plays better in a winning team, and you probably say that about a lot of players. But he is one that he stands out a lot better when the team's doing well. He's like, bloody hell, Tielemans, he just scored a banger. But we only do that when we're playing well. He's never as consistent unless we're winning. So again, like I said, I think he'll go to Champions League club just because he's free. Again, 100 grand a week is what he's reportedly on. Again, he'd probably go for about the same wages to a top club, and he'd be like happy with that, playing for a better club technically and the same wages. So why not?
Just leave.
I think he's in a just leave category for me this season. I think a lot of fans would. I think they're rocking the boat a bit when they say he's a legend. I don't think I would call him a legend of Leicester. I know some fans have said that he would be a legend just for his FA Cup goal, but his inconsistency, again, at the start of the season, really, he was unfit. I think for the first opening weeks, you could see how tired and slow and sluggish he was on the pitch. And yeah, you could say the same for a lot of players. But anyway, I think, like I said, he's avoided the punches this year, so he didn't get injured or break his leg out of contract. And I think he's going to go in a little bit in a negative way.
Yeah, I agree completely. Just to fast forward a bit, then I'm going to put all the defenders together, and just smash through a few of them in a row.
Yeah.
Sunchu, he's already signed a contract to Atletico Madrid. I think really we can't say too much. It's just
pretty
more
obvious.
Just leave, isn't it?
He's just going to go. He played well the last few games before he got injured. Shame he didn't feature more this season because he's been a quality player. But he sees his qualities now going to Champions League side, Atletico Madrid. So there you go.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to know.
Yeah.
It's all signing sealed, so never mind. Suter, we only just bought him last. It was even just this winter, wasn't it? In the last window, from Stoke.
Yeah, in
he's Championship quality at least, isn't he? He's done well in the Prem since he's been in. Obviously, he's not had the greatest amount of games with Dean Smith, but I think you're just
good squad depth player, again, depending on obviously some of the other players that come up. Suter stays, he's got 50% wage. We know that for a fact. 50% of his wages are going to go now or in Championship. And I think he'll be one that will stick around for another season because it's one of those things where a lot of these players, I think you might see stay for one season. If we stay in the Championship, they'll go. Yeah. I think someone might get him, but Suter is one. He's young, he's just come in literally less than half a year ago, so he stays. I think that's quite easy. He just stays.
Yeah, so like I say, same for me. He's only just signed, so I don't think he would leave. And he was highly rated at Stoke when we bought him, and people are saying it was a good buy. So we just hope that going back into the Championship, he's just way too good for the Championship, I guess.
Yeah.
FaZe, again, another one who's just joined in the summer because of the Fofana basis change. What's your take on FaZe?
If you want me to be
staying?
100% brutally honest, I think he goes. As much as I think he's had an okay season, considering the whole, not just him, but the whole defense has been a bit of a nightmare. I think of his contract that he's got and stuff like that, I think we might be cashing out. I don't know what his wages are, but I can only assume they're probably 60, 70 grand. I think it'll be one where the club might be looking, we can get, I wouldn't say better, because again, I would probably put FaZe in the category of, I put him in the category. I don't know if he's Championship. I think he's, if there was a league between the Premier League and Championship, I think he'd slot in good into there. And I think we might just cash out on him. And I'm not saying personally, I want him to go. I think he'll be all right to stay for a season Championship. I think he'll do pretty well, but I could see the club selling. So personally, I'd like him to stay, but from a business point of view, I can understand why the club would sell him.
I'll keep on that point in a minute, but what is your decision on the list? Are you keeping or selling?
I'm going to say sell. I think he does just overall fall into the category of sell.
Okay. I'm going to say on the words keep because the likes of Evans still to talk about.
Yeah.
Amati obviously going. I think you need defenders in the back line, and I don't think if you sell him, you've got to bring in someone new. And I just don't.
I think like I said, if you bring Evans into the conversation, he's out of contract.
Yes.
Now, so again, we'll do it in the style of I think we have been. So we'll put FaZe in keep. I think.
Yeah.
Because again, I think
it's just
he's on the fence
depth,
for me.
and I don't think if we lose him and we lose Evans, I do think we'll be short in the back line.
Yeah, I can see why we would keep him. Obviously, we move on to Evans now because this is where it falls in as they play together.
Yeah.
If you keep FaZe, I think you don't offer Evans a new contract extension. I don't know. What do you think on that? Do you?
It's
or
hard.
Do you not?
I'm not a big fan of Evans. That's just my personal opinion. But he was in the Championship before we bought him.
He's very injury prone.
He was at West Brom before we bought him. He was quality then. Yes, that was 5 or 6 years ago, whatever it was then. I just feel like, and he is out of contract. I feel like maybe he might be the captain we need in the Championship. People are saying give it to Dewsbury-Hall, give it to a lot of players when we're down there because
as much as I like Evans, I don't think we should build a squad around him being captain. I think next season we need a clear-cut captain that's going to be fit because Evans, giving him the captaincy, you saw it last season. Really, he was getting old. He wasn't playing. He wasn't as fit as much, and I think he's out of contract. Again, getting relegated he's probably like, F me. I don't want to be in the Championship again at my age. I don't want to have a bad injury to end my career. I might just sod it off and end it.
Graham said might retire.
Yeah, I could see him retiring. Again, I don't think again, he's probably on quite a good wage at Leicester. So if the census was right, we'll give a year contract extension, but you are only going to be on 50% less wages. I don't know if he'd take it in the Championship, to be honest with you. I think he's had such a good career, obviously, at United when he won a lot of stuff back in his time. Does he stick around for Leicester for a Championship fight at his age?
Actually, when you're saying about will he stick around for a Championship fight, I don't think he will. Again, it's one of those things we have to play 48 games next season, really. Two games a week now is what it's going to be. Tuesday night, Saturday night. He might be a bit
consistently. Evans, I think, I think he would just get done in the first 10 games in the Championship. I think you'd see him out injured from a nasty thing. And I just don't think he'd want to do that, really, to end his career. I think obviously, I've had a great career. I've played at United, won the FA Cup with Leicester, that kind of stuff, and just leave it at that.
So, just leave?
I think just leave. I think he's just one of those that, when you pile it all up, I don't think we're in the financial situation we're in. We offer him a new contract. I think we just say, listen, thanks for your service. See you later. He might go to another club. He might go to a lower Premier League club. I could see him doing that as a squad player. I just don't see us offering him a new contract because, again, we need wages down. I don't know if he's up for a Championship fight, but I could see him going somewhere like Luton for a season, really.
Yeah. Again, what team that's just come up maybe might be a good fit for them. So we'll talk about 2 loanees who are out for the season this year, coming back into the line. Chowdhury and Albrighton. I know you're a massive fan of Albrighton. I wouldn't say I'm a massive fan of Chowdhury, but in the Championship, I think he'd be perfect.
Again, he's had a good season for Watford this year in Championship. Obviously, season-long loan out there. He's going to come back. I think he's probably comes back to. He's a Leicester lad, isn't he? I think he's from Burton. So
I think he's from Loughborough, actually.
Oh, is he? Even that's even close where we are. So it's literally just. He's a proper local Leicester lad. He loves the club, and I think he wants to come back and fight for Leicester. He would want to get them back into the Premier League, and he'll be one of those players where a season of Championship's done him good. He'll know how to have the fight. So I think we do keep him, and I think we
even Phil's come in and said, keep Albrighton and Hamza both cope with the Championship. Exactly. I probably agree now with Albrighton. In the Championship, I think he'd be good enough. I didn't think in the Premier League he was the quality anymore. I just don't. I always call him a crossy cross, because that's all he can do. But in the Championship, I think he'll be good enough in the Championship. But I don't think he's got much.
Me too. Again, a good squad player, because we're losing Mendy, probably. We'll move on to that in a bit. But he comes in, I think he might replace and some of the other players. So for me, Chowdhury stays, he comes back in. I think I think he might walk into the starting 11, really, to be honest, on the first day, the way we're going.
Depending on what players we talk about.
Because again, he'll be one of those players where it'll be like, well, he's not on massive wages. He's on a good amount, but he's not on a ridiculous amount. We don't have to look for another defensive midfielder option now because we've got Chowdhury. Let's just stick with that.
Again, I keep Chowdhury as well. And Albrighton, we're going to both say keep.
He's got a year left on his contract. Again, a good squad depth. Is he up for the fight? Yeah. Is he a bit old? Yeah. But I think we could do with a bit of depth in the team. And again,
and he was captain, vice captain last year. And
I think, like you said, just keep him. I don't think there's too much to say on Albrighton apart from good squad player. You know what he's going to put in, and he's just not done it at West Brom. But hopefully, he can come back and do a little bit at Leicester.
Yeah, Carlos saying 100% keep Albrighton left to get game time. If he won't play, he won't stay. Again, he's coming back into the team now, and
we've got to play 2 games a week. It's like being in competitions. It's like most when you've got European competition, FA Cup, Carabao Cup. That's 2 games a week for a long time, and that's what the Championship is. There's maybe a week on, week off of 2 games a week. So we're going to need a lot of rotation in the team for the Championship because, again, it's a tough league to get out of. And I think to keep 100% fit, we are going to need to...
Facebook user says having our fans talking about Hamza being back on the team hurts my ears. Again, I wasn't a big fan of him when he was in the side before. But when now we're going back into the Championship, I just think he'll be perfect for it. Because
it's one of those things people might not like him, but... He's had a whole season Championship, and by the sounds of it, he's had a pretty good season at Watford. And again, that's the level we're at now. We're at Championship. A lot of fans need to take their heads out of the Premier League mentality because we're now in the Championship. So the quality of players that will be coming in is Championship level. We're not going to bring in Premier League players. We'd be lucky to keep our Premier League players.
Yeah,
that's what we're basing this off. We're not going to sign anyone Premier League quality. We'll be signing players Championship quality. Our biggest thing is to try and keep a lot of our players
that Prem quality to keep us back out of it. Yeah. Next, Harvey Barnes.
Well, I could just say go. I think that's obvious. I think a lot of fans would say keep. For me, I think Barnes is one of those things where, we cash out. But I don't know how long he's got left on his contract, but he's on a lot of money wage-wise. They're probably going to be asking for around 30 million average for him, and he's not going to want to play in the Championship after the season. He's just
he did get a loan to the Championship,
but this was before he was top quality. He's just banged 13 goals as a winger in the Premier League. That is top 8 quality for a winger. And I've heard the rumours Aston Villa want him, and again, Aston Villa will be a perfect fit for him. European football, literally down the road from Leicester. It's only in Birmingham, so. I could
see him going somewhere like that, to be honest. And that 20 million. I think you sell up and try and get the money.
It's one of those things where because we're losing 2/3 of income to the club, we're going to need to make some money somehow. So Barnes is one of those players which I don't think we're going to keep him just for a Championship run. I think he does go so he can get money and off the wage bill.
And if I'm going to be totally honest, I don't think I'd miss him much if he did go. Yes, his goals have done a lot this year, but
I think
he's in his prime.
He has been inconsistent, as you know. We watch him week in, week out. Obviously, the clubs that were signed say, "Jesus, he just 13 goals, maybe 5 or 6 assists," and it's like that's a really good record for a winger. But again, maybe I don't know. I know that you're not a massive fan of him. Myself, I'm not 100% convinced on him. But again, in a better team, he probably would play a lot better.
Maybe in a better team he would. I just think, like I say, I think Philly even says this now. He's what, 24, 25, and I think he's meant to be in his sort of prime ages now. And yes, he's scoring good amount of goals, but he's not consistent. He's not doing incredible. And at this age, he should be.
Again, one of those players, I think clubs will just see his stats and see what he offers, and we're like, great, that's exactly what we need. 30 million because he just got relegated. I think Council just said, hopefully we get 45. Again, we're not going to get as much money as people think because we got relegated. They'll be like, he plays in the Championship, mate. Come off it. You know, we're giving you 30 million. Take it or leave it. And the situation where we're like, well, 30 million is better than 0 million.
How much was Nick Pope from Burnley last year?
Yeah, not a lot. And obviously, he was a quality keeper.
So, and I know it's only a keeper, but he's a massive part in a team. And they've got what, 3rd now?
Yeah, no,
so,
4th in the end.
4th in the end, but it's actually still incredible for a keeper from Burnley going to Newcastle for only 10 million, and that he's now Champions League. So, yeah, I can't see him going for 45 mil, but Barnes, sell, yeah?
Yeah, I'm just going to bring up this comment from Liam. Ain't any of you a little excited by the prospect of a clear out? I am. Look at these gems we found last time in the Championship. I would say the clear out was happening either way. So I'm not entirely happy because we're clearing out with the situation we're in the Championship now.
Yeah.
If we stayed up in the Premier League, even on the last day, we do the clear out either way. So for me, we're going on to Championship means the clear out is in a negative way more than we're reinforcing the players that want to go. Now it's Maddison, he would be good potentially in the Championship, but we need to sell him. He's got a year left on his contract, but we need to cash in and get the money and get him off the wages rather than, you know, he goes to Newcastle for 60 million. He's going to go maybe Newcastle, but I think you're going to see it for around 40 million. Yeah,
I agree. And I have said that the players that are leaving with no contract now are players that we've already expected to leave anyway. And there's not that many that does get into that lineup. Obviously, yes, Youri Tielemans, yes. Like I say, Perez is gone. He wasn't here anyway. You've got Amati, who was in the side, but we know isn't the greatest quality, and he's going to go. There's players there that I don't think are that big of an issue if we do that they are going.
Yeah, like you say, I think a lot of them were going either way.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So we'll move on next to Ndidi. Again, another big injury playing player. My personal opinion is sell.
I agree. I don't care for how much, just get him off the wages.
Because he's been in the club so long now. He used to be quality, but I think he's as much as I don't want to agree with this. It's his ego. I think he won't want to be in the Championship. And that's just me. I feel as much as he has lost his quality, he will not want to go into the Championship.
No, again, I can see him going somewhere, not like Luton, but maybe a club like Bournemouth or
maybe,
you know, one of those lower league, Premier League side. But again, I'd sell for cheap just to get him off the wage
10,
bills.
20 mil.
No, not even really 5 million. I think that's what we get for him. I know it's sad to say because he was probably linked as a 70, 80 million Barcelona, Real Madrid player 2 or 3 seasons ago, but football moves quickly and he's on massive wages at Leicester. I think he's up there on 80 to 100 grand a week. So we need to get that off when considering he's not playing well. So again, I
think I wouldn't say 20 mil, but I agree I'd say
his wages, no one's going to sign him for 20 million because they'd have to pay 20 million for Ndidi and then pay him 100 grand a week. Because why would he leave Leicester?
Even the council says we don't pay. There's no chance. I agree with that. I don't think we sell for less than 10.
I think you'd be surprised based on wages. Again, I think we'd want to clear out on wages as much as we can. And Ndidi, I don't see anyone that comes in and offers more than. I think 10 million would be maximum, if you ask me. I don't know who comes in and offers more than 10 million for someone who's injury prone, not played for the past 2 years, and when he has played, has looked pretty poor.
Yeah, again, I agree. So Ndidi goes into sell, yeah?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Daniel Iverson, we've been going on with him all season, saying that he should be the man between the posts all season, with Danny Ward being sat there basically doing nothing. Iverson, he's my number one for this season coming up.
Again, for me, that question was all dependent on where we ended up.
Mm-hmm.
For me, he's good enough to be Championship, and
He
we've
showed
seen
it.
him at Preston.
He showed it. It was player of the season at Preston.
And I think he's actually done okay in the Premier League, considering the situation we've been in, where the 4 or 5 men in front of him have been pretty poor.
You've just got to think as well, the time he got given to play, if he was in 2 of the games before, I know it's not all down to him saving shots, but 2 games before when we played, was it Bournemouth and Villa when Danny Ward was still in goal, we can still conceded stupid goals. Yeah. And I have a feeling if he was in there, it'd be a lot better chance of staying up.
Oh, I think we both said, didn't we? If Soinch and Iverson were playing from the start, how many more points could have we had? Maybe 10 extra points from those 2 alone. But I think a lot of people would say, I think what we're saying, if we stayed in the Premier League, we look for a new goalie, but now we're in the Championship again to save some money, keep Iverson. He's not the worst. And a season in the Championship with Leicester, if we were to get promoted, could maybe, earn him a position.
And you've got to think, as much as I'm not trying to put a downer on the Championship, yes, it's worse than the Premier League, but there's not going to be as many good players taking shots at him. He was playing against the best in the world in the Premier League. Now you're playing against, and I'm not saying that they're awful players in the Championship, but they're not to the quality of Premier League players. So he should have easier games to come, I guess.
Yeah. I think like you said, there'll be tough games still.
Yes.
But they're Championship level games, and they'll be a lot more frequent. So we're going to need a keeper in some forms back up, whoever that be. We'll come on to that. But Iverson, I think we keep him, and I do think he's number 1 for next season. Again,
I agree.
I think he's done enough to earn that. Maybe again, I don't think we're in a club situation financially where we can fork out for a brand new goalie on.
Premier League wise, yes, but not if now we're down.
We've not got the Premier League money now,
and we don't need. I don't think we need to buy anyone with him in there. And I was going to move straight on to Danny Ward, but we'll leave him for a bit later. Dewsbury-Hall. People have mentioned him the last few days, saying that he will be the new captain next season. I tend to agree. As much as he's young, and in the Premier League he shouldn't have been captain, but in the Championship, I think he's perfect.
I think we can build a team around him. I think it's very easy to build a team around. Again, Dewsbury needs a season in the Championship with Leicester. He's had it at Luton, but he needs to feel the pain as a Leicester fan himself that he wants to get this club back into the Premier League. He wants to be as best as he can be. He wants the club to be as best as it can be, and it very well easily could be in his hands to determine that. And a Leicester lad to do that would be, great. Same as Chowdhury is a Leicester lad. Those two coming back, they'd want to play in the Premier League, and they'd probably be told if he gets back in the Premier League, you're going to keep your spot for next year. So you just keep at it. And Dewsbury again, he was out a little bit through a red card and an injury a little bit coming towards the end of the season. But we do need to, I think, build a team around someone who's, we're passionate really. We wanted us to stay up. He would be one of those lads that's like, Jesus Christ, I see Vestergaard, Bertrand walk around here on ridiculous money that are just sunbathing and doing absolutely nothing for the club. This is my club, and players like that have just helped us get relegated. Fork them out the team. I want to be here. I want to get us back into the Premier League. This is my club, and I'm going to do it for the fans and become local hero.
Yeah, I completely agree. There's not much more to say on it. I think Dewsbury I hope he'll be the captain next season going in. And like people are saying, they agree with us. Dewsbury was perfect for the division. Build it around him. And the councillor did say about there is really some top teams in the Championship, and I'm not saying that they're awful. I'm just saying it won't be as high quality as the Premier League was. So I'm just saying that it should be easier for Iverson to.
Again, it depends who's willing to fight, because it's not going to be an easy league. It's definitely going to be tough.
Yeah.
But with the quality, hopefully we can bring into the Championship that are clearly Premier League quality. If we can keep some of those players, I think it would be a massive difference to where we do end up.
Yeah, he won't shut up in this league either.
I think he's on about Dewsbury. I think Dewsbury's had
he won't show up. Sorry,
he's had a couple stinkers maybe throughout the year, but again, I think we, as a club as a whole, it's hard to say who's actually had an amazing season, considering we all got relegated. I don't know. You can't really pick out a player.
Dewsbury not the best season.
No, but
But
no,
stats don't lie that he's been in. We've just won another game and he's won it. Every time he's been in.
We've won 9
team,
games and he's played more than 45 minutes in each 9 of those wins. Again, that's a stat that doesn't, like you say, doesn't lie.
No.
I think he's a vital player, really, and I think he would, again, a season in the Championship with Leicester, feeling the pain as a fan and not just as a player. I think he needs that maybe to really help and become a better player himself. And I really hope he does stick around, because I've heard people say he might go back to Luton now they're in the Premier League. But again, he's a Leicester lad. I think if he had any sense, really, he could be the future of the club, in the sense that, especially in the Championship, he would be a massive part to take us back up.
Yeah, I agree. Next, I'll put 2 strikers together just to get rid of them both. As not get rid of them, but to get them over and done with. Nacho and Daka.
Two big players.
I'll say my thoughts. So, Iheanacho, I think what he's got, I don't know how many years contract he's got left, but I say keep. I think he wants the club to do well, and I think he's loyal. I just hope he gives us one more year to try and come straight back up. For Daka,
I think I agree with you for Nacho. Sorry to just cut over, but for Nacho, you could see how much it hurt him to get relegated. 'Cause he's been with us. He's been for us for a lot longer than people realise. I think it's maybe 5-6 years now. I thought he's only just signed a couple of seasons ago, but he has actually been here for quite a while. And he's been inconsistent. I don't think we can deny that. But in the past 2 seasons, I think he's become very mature as a player, and he has definitely been able to become a very good squad player. And in the Championship, I think he'll be very good. I think he's very good at holding the ball, which is what Championship quality players don't have. He is a Premier League quality player. He has 1 year left in his contract. For me, really, for me, he's one of the players where nothing happens to him. You don't dock his wages by a percentage. You say, listen, you're still on your 80 grand a week, and it's a risk. But we say, we're giving you the season, or even until January. But we say, listen, when it comes to January after Championship, if we're not inside the top 6, mate, you can go. We'll let you go. But just stay with us for one more season, try and get us back into the league. And if you do, we'll give you a brand new contract in the Premier League, a new 3-4 year deal, if you're happy to, or, we'll try and move you on for free. Whatever it is, I think we just need someone like him to be passionate and Premier League quality, because I think that's 2 things we have lacked, is Premier League quality and passion for the club.
Yeah, and before I go on to the Duck situation, I'm going to kind of cross-fade two points here together. The reason I'm going to say I want to keep both is because we are going to talk about a certain player that's definitely just going to be leaving this summer. Could Kelechi Iheanacho play in that behind the striker role?
Oh, I think very easily can, because he's very good at holding the ball.
He could be that role behind both Vardy and
Listen,
Daka.
You've got to do a lot of convincing to keep him. You've got to say something along. You play every week. You're going to play with Vardy every week. We need you here. You're a massive asset to the club. Whoever comes in needs to say to them, you're here to stay. We need you to be our man up there as a great holding player. I really just hope that he's willing to give us the season and the Championship left in his contract, because again, it's a massive ask from both the club and himself, because we're asking him to have a season in the Championship when we know he's Premier League quality, and I think
he's not been given much time this season.
Yeah, not had much game time. I think it's also the club they have to do some convincing. Like I said, they can't really say to him, "We'll dock your wages for a year." Because I just don't think someone like Nacho would work. He'd be like, well, I could just move on to, my next club in the Premier League, to be honest with you. And same wages, I think, would be fair enough. Because, again, year left on his contract, he probably would go for about 20 to 25 million.
Yeah.
If we're lucky, maybe we're more around the 20 million mark. But
Daka? Yeah. I'm saying keep, because I do think that Kel could be the player behind both of them.
I am going to heavily argue against you. I think we get rid of Daka and we get a new striker. And as I've seen loads of people say, Daka will tear up in the Championship, this, that, and what another. If you guys need to go back to this season when we played 2 or 3 games against League One sides, League Two sides, what did he do against them? Absolutely nothing. He can't score in the Premier League. He couldn't score against League One sides. He couldn't score against League Two sides. What makes you think he's going to score against Championship sides? He got 4 goals last season in the Premier League. Again, I think we'd be lucky if we got 10 goals in the Championship, to be honest with you. I think he's useless. He had a good season in the Austrian League alongside Erling Haaland, who is the best striker in the world at the moment. So what can you say about that? When you play against best players, you do well. For me, why keep someone who can't score? Just sell him. And again, his agent probably be like, a player like Daka can go, you know. No, I'd just
brilliant start.
It's the 4 goals in that one game against Moscow, wasn't it?
Yeah. Again, I'm gonna have to give you it because you're fighting against it, but I don't know. I just feel like we need the quality. Yeah, yes, he might not be quality there, but I'm saying if he does get the game time in the Championship, I'm gonna say he's gonna be getting to the top goal scorer. That's just me. It's a big shout.
I just don't see it. If Vardy sticks around, again, Vardy, Vardy in a nice way, Vardy's a knobhead of a player. He gets under people's skin, and that's it's a good thing as a player to do that. He knows how to get under people's skin. He knows how to play well, and in the Championship, I think he would tear it up a lot. For me, Daka, I just don't see him doing anything. I'm
going to give you it, but
it's either that or you make a new category and say no man's land, because I don't know where else he goes really. For me, I 100% wouldn't keep him. He's had 2 seasons and he's done 0 things for the club.
I will make another category.
Just call it no man's land, because for me, I think a lot of, again, I'm just basing it on what I've seen from him. A lot of fans say tear it up in the Championship, but you've got to remember we played 2 or 3 games against League One and League Two sides last season, and he did absolutely nothing. Didn't get a goal, didn't get an assist. He just did nothing. So what does he do to earn his place in the team when he can't even bang goals against the clubs that are literally lower than the Championship?
Again, I'm a big fan of him. I'm trying to back my corner, so I feel like we're going to be fair and say we're just going to give him that role.
Plus, I think his agent's going to want him to go because he's going to be one of those players that will have the wage stock. So I could see him going quite easily to a different club, a European club, Austrian league. Maybe go back to it. I don't know. He's just not been good enough for me.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to quickly put a few players together just to get rid of a few again. Tete, and Vestergaard, I'll put them together. Again, you know what? I'll put Bertrand in there as well.
Yeah, I think we can get rid of these pretty quickly. Tete, rubbish loan spell, game out. Bye. Done.
Bye-bye.
Next, Bertrand. There's nothing to say on Tete. He had 1 good game against that. Bertrand, he's out of contract. Thanks, mate. See you later. Finish his contract off. Bye, mate. See you later.
Yeah, they were not good signings, were they?
You know, all 3 of them by not doing anything. Go, see you later.
Maddison.
He goes. He doesn't stay. I think that's obvious. He's been our player of the season this year. I think that's quite obvious. He has been the player of the season for Leicester. It's hard to say that in a season where we get relegated. But 1 year left on his contract. We must not do a Tielemans with him. We have to sell him. We have to get 40, 50 million cash in. And that's it.
The only reason I say, I'm not saying he's going to stay because I don't think he will. The only reason he would stay somehow is because he's still under contract. And I know, like I say, that's what we did with Tielemans. We left him.
I could see him doing,
and then we lost all the money on him.
I could see him doing a Fofana, Mahrez a little bit. Where if we were to keep him, it's a bit like he wouldn't play. He would have a proper mild on. He would refuse to play for the club, and if he did play, he would play absolutely shocking. I think he wants his move, and that's fine. He's done enough at Leicester to earn a big move. His comments, obviously, this season have been unacceptable, I think, to the press who were just doing their job. For him to come out and say stuff, and obviously, massive backlash, calm as a bitch. You get what you say. He said it, and look what happened. We did get relegated. We weren't fine in the end.
Yeah. So as much as we said that he could stay, I'm guessing we are going to put in the sell category, aren't we?
I think so. I think we need to cash out, get the money, because we need the money as a club.
Sumari.
I'll keep. I think it's a tough one. So I think Sumari could do well.
I'm saying keep,
under the right manager.
In the Championship, I think it'd be good enough.
Under the right manager and under the right tactics. For me, he looks awful. Not awful, but not as good defensively. If we were to play him as just a defense, as a central midfielder, a bit where Tielemans plays, not as deep, push. He's so much better. Not even box to box, really, just pushing up. He's a lot better when he's a central midfielder and just sitting in the middle. And I think we keep. I'd like to say I think we keep him. he wanted to go either way last season. So I can realistically see his agent saying, we're taking him away. His wages are down. You know, he did a lot in the French league. He goes back to that. So if you ask me, I would like to keep him, but I do think he's going to go.
Yeah, I'm not as big as a fan as I am with Dakar, but I still think there's something to be seen with Soumaré, and in the Championship, I think he'd be just too good for the Championship. That's what I think. And yes, he could go again. The French league's very easy to get into. I'm not saying it's a poor league, but anyone French just basically goes to French league because they're all that sort of quality. So he could go to French league, but I will say keep.
What'd you say? Sorry, say you keeping him. I think we could put him in the keep category because I agree that we should keep him. I think he's had a good last 8 to 10 games in the end of his career. And again, I think that was due to management under Rodgers because I think if you ask me, the players that played well under Rodgers, like your Maddison and that, really turned it off a bit when Dean Smith came in. I think you saw Maddison, he didn't play as well until the West Ham game. I think Maddison had quite a few stinkers in the last few games. So, but then someone like Soumaré, he obviously got something different treatment, and he does come in and he plays a lot better than what we've seen him.
Yeah,
so,
and like I say, Dean Smith has put him in recently because of some reason, quality training, what he's doing, I don't know, but he's done better than another player that. Well, he's not done better, but he's been in the team over someone we've always been asking for. So he's obviously doing some right in training. We'll move on to Luke Thomas. I've always said he's gone loan to the Championship side. We're in the Championship.
Yeah, here's his loan to the Championship side. It's with us. I think Thomas has actually been a very, very consistent player in the past few games. I'm not going to say good. I'm going to say consistent. I think he's played average, but at least he's been consistently average in those games. And like we've all said, he needed a loan spell to the Championship. Well, we've not got that, but we've been relegated. So here he is. Here's his chance to prove he can do it in the Championship. And I do think, I think he gets ahead of Christensen for me. I think.
But then again, you say he gets ahead of them. You say 2 games a week. This is their chance.
Yeah, again, rotation.
Swapping.
When we have Justin and Pereira back in, there's a lot of these players that will do rotation. I think as a club, we don't need 4, 5, 6 even at the moment. Left backs and right backs between ourselves because Castanier's still technically here. I don't think that'll last for long. But Thomas, for me, I'd say keep.
Yeah, I agree. Just put him straight into keep. I think I've always said that he needs to go on loan to the Championship. He's in the Championship now, so you keep him.
Yeah.
Smithies. Who the hell is this guy? Can I ask? Smithies.
You might as well just put him in no man's land because he's not even a Leicester player, is he? No, in all honesty, for Smithies, he's just a squad depth player. He's on $500,000 a year, which is a lot of money for someone who does. What is he a coach? I don't know. I wouldn't even know what to say what he does. But for me, for $500,000 a year, it's probably not a lot for a club like Leicester. But in the season we're in the Championship now. Get rid of. I guess. I don't know. He doesn't bring anything.
I think the only reason we brought him in was because of Brandon Rodgers, because he likes a third choice. I don't know why. I think it's more because it's a backup of a backup. If you lose your first keeper, you've got a backup.
Then you've got a youth player. You stick the under-21s keeper in for a bit, and that's just what you have to do.
Yeah.
So for me, I'd just sell him.
Are we keeping him in no man's land, or are we selling or just leave?
I think I'm probably in the just leave category because no one's.
He's out of contract as well, isn't he?
I don't know, but no one's going to buy him. No one in the Premier League. I don't think in the Championship.
Christensen.
Oh, this is a tough one. I think with the depth we've got and the positions we've said where
rotation,
Justin stays and Pereira stays and Thomas stays. Does Christensen fall into the rotation category in that, or does he not? I'll let you go first because I think I'm going to have a different view.
I'm only going to say he's going to stay because he's only just come in.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to come on for a year and then go because we're in the Championship. His contract's already said if we go down, he gets cut off his wage, which he's agreed to. So for me, he stays. Again, I'd prefer him to be a rotation player with someone like Thomas and have Justin on the right with
If I think about it, his aggressiveness could be all right in the Championship because that is a very aggressive league. It's not as
and the refs don't.
That's what I mean. It's not as much of a. I don't even know what the word to say. Premier League. It's not as. It's less harsh on the decisions. It's more just.
You can be as dirty as you like in the Championship.
Not as dirty as you like. You will still get your bookings and your red cards, but I think it's more lenient on that stuff. Just because the quality, some of these, it's like I'm not as good as a Premier League player. I don't know when to go in or not. So I think.
I agree. I think.
But there's levels to it, isn't there?
Yeah,
Denmark are not as good as Belgium.
So you're taking Christensen. Are you keeping him?
I would keep him. Again, like I say, he's just signed, and his wages, if he's on whatever, it gets docked 50%. So he stays around, I think, for another season at least. If we go back up, maybe he goes. If we stay in Championship, who knows? He's probably, I won't say he's regretting it, but he has just gone from Champions League football to Championship football now. So,
well, you never know. You could say his aggressiveness could be a perfect suit for Championship.
And I don't think there's VAR next year for Championship. I'm not sure if there is or isn't. I heard there might be, but I think again we'd know probably close to the time if there is or isn't. But if there isn't, that would suit Christensen.
Liam, do you know what? I am as well. As much as it's sad to be relegated, I actually am excited to be in the Championship again. Hopefully, it'll be a brilliant one where we keep winning games and
I think
smash straight back up.
I think that you need to be careful with the wording. I think that you're allowed to be excited, obviously, for a new challenge and a new season of football. But I think in the situation we've gone, I would much prefer us to be at the Premier League.
Obviously, I think everyone would be,
but so I think
it is what it is.
I'm unhappy that we've got relegated. I won't say I'm happy we're in the Championship, but it's a new challenge. It's a new fight. It's back to square one, is what it is. But again, we're going to have, we've even said earlier, really, we're going to have a lot more closer away games for us. So easier for us to get down to them a lot more. And it wouldn't be cheaper. It's actually going to cost more, but it'll be closer. And, it's a big season. It's a massive season. It starts in literally less than, I think, about 8 weeks. So
I agree. Mendy, obviously he's out of contract, I think.
Mendy, if he asked me,
I'd give him if he would like to stay in the Championship with us, I'd give him a new contract.
I would as well. I don't think he does because again, you look at his track record.
He's been in the AFCON
quarter-final in the World Cup quarter-finalist in the World Cup, won the AFCON Nations. Doesn't play for Leicester. If he was to sign a new contract for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, how does he not know that in those 2 to 3 years he's going to play? Because when he signed for us, every season he's very rarely featured. And this season, I did an article for the BBC and I put him in as one of my players of the season. And he's only played 17 games this year, but for me he did walk into the team most weeks over Tielemans, over Ndidi. But we never gave him the game time. And I think he would fear that's the exact same thing he would do if he signs again. So he would just move on to. And if you ask me, I think he's good enough to play for a European competition side, whether that be Conference League or Europa League. I wouldn't say Champions League, but he does go into, for me, one of those side of teams in a European club, France, Italy. I think he'd just move on. He's, I think, 31, 32 now. So his time at Leicester was unfair, I think, to him, and I don't think he should stay. I think for the interest of himself, I think he should go. I'd love to see him stay, but I think he is a better player than Leicester City, really. I think we've done harsh to him, to be fair.
Yeah. Again, it's opinion over what the club will do. I think both of us agree that we should keep him if he does want to stay. So are we using that basis, or are we saying that we should sell because he's too good for us?
I think he might be one that falls into no man's land a little bit because we want him to stay, but does he stay? Me and you are both agreed that we would keep him, but does he want to stay? Because I don't think I don't think he would.
Does he give him more space?
But that's if Ndidi goes, because again, Mendy might think to himself that I'm getting on a little bit as a player. I actually want to play football a lot more than what I am at the moment. But he's not. I just don't think. Again, if I was a player and I was in this situation where I've been at Leicester for 4 years now, and they've completely neglected me, and I wouldn't want to stay at the club.
Yeah, I agree. We're not going to do Baybrook. Was that Brunt? I'm not too sure because I'm not too sure on them. But last of all, Danny Ward. The only reason I keep is because of backup. But I don't know if we're going to buy a new keeper. I'm not too sure if we're going to do that, as in to be our second choice, even first choice. But the only reason I keep Danny Ward is for a second choice, and that's all depending on what we do.
Yeah, again, he's been a bench player for 10 years. So what changes this? Who's going to side him? I've listened to a few podcasts, and a lot of them said, what was the choice in playing? Why would we play Danny Ward when we let Casper go in a ridiculous circumstance? Casper obviously been a long time player for Leicester, and he should have stayed. Danny Ward comes in and he has an absolute stinker, and I've just heard people left, right, and centre who've said he's the worst Premier League goalie this season at all. So for me, I don't care. If you get rid of, he's as good as the under-21s goalie probably, so just get rid of him and push the under-21s up to senior. Who cares, you know?
Okay.
It pushes the wages bill. I just sell him, get him off the wage bill. Whoever buys him, I'm not really fussed. Even if we just pay him off, I just whatever.
Yeah. Let me just download the image, and then if I can do it, probably won't do it now. But yeah, that's our sheet.
I don't know if there's anyone missed out. We'll keep going for a couple more minutes just in case there is someone else we missed out. If you want to comment,
yeah,
who you
if
think
there's anyone else you missed out,
there's a lot of youth players that could come into the team. We're not talking about them because they haven't featured much. Maybe, you know, Sammy Braybrook's been pushed around a little bit, but I think he got injured, didn't he?
Yeah.
So someone like that, yeah, we could see him feature, but we're talking about the squad right now and who goes and the senior players.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just see George Hurst. Someone's just said George Hurst in the comments. He's out on loan. Does he come back? I mean,
Maybe.
he technically comes back, but does he go into the team or does he want to go out? Because again, rumor has it, Roger said to George Hurst, "Listen, after his loan spell last season, we want you to come in and do well for us this year."
Yeah.
And as soon as, you know, before the season starts, Rogers is like, "Right, off you go, mate," and then send him out on loan again. And he's probably like, well, "What's going on here?"
Yeah, like Liam says, I'll take it. Again, with you, the ones that we've kept, you'd still say there's Premier League quality in that team.
I think you would for a lot. And obviously, a lot of these is our opinion. You're allowed your own opinion. And some of the ones we're selling, and obviously you got your no man's land one. Well, some of these are just. Did I say Jeff Hurst? I mean George Hurst. If I did say Jeff, sorry about that.
Yeah, like you say, it's all opinion based. Again, the ones that are in sell are most of the ones that we either are just going to be too much quality for us to keep, or we just don't want them anymore.
Again, it's financially as a club, we're all looking at it as like, oh, but these players are under contract and they could stay, and why don't they give us a season in the Championship? But again, 2/3 of our wages have literally just gone out the window. Really, you might as well stuck it in a fire, because that's about what we've done by getting relegated. Is just shoved a lot of money down the drain, really, by getting relegated. So we'd need to make some money back, because 2/3 is a lot of money. It is a lot of money that the club needs to even out, because financially, 2 seasons in the Championship would financially, I wouldn't say ruin the club, but it would be a massive ask to, you know, keep going the way we are with the players we have. Because even the players we've listed, whether you think they're Premier League quality or not, they're on Premier League wages. So that's a tough one to really consider. But like you said, we need to keep Vardy, Nacho. Some of these players, Dewsbury, or I've heard he might go. I hope he doesn't. Faiz, hope he stays.
The whole back line, yeah. I think the whole back line should stay.
But I do think we need to strengthen the whole back line. I think has been a massive issue in the Premier League. So I do think we need to strengthen. I think we need competition in and around the team. I think we do need to sign some players that will push players to be better. As in, if you're going to have, I'd say if you're going to have Faiz as a centre back, and he's, you know, you're week in, you week out centre back, you sign some more, you bring someone from the youth academy to really push his position and play him for a couple of games. Like, well, listen, this guy's doing just as well as you. Well, why should you be the number one defender? Earn your place a bit more. Stuff like that. I think we just need a little bit more passion players. It's tough to see, because obviously Dean Smith came in, and if he based his 8 games out over a whole season,
we would have stayed up.
But again, that's here nor there. That's not what we're talking about. Obviously, we're talking about who goes, who stays. This is our opinion. I don't think we've missed anyone out.
Last comment of the video then. Scott says, Opoku. I don't know too much about him. He's a youngster we sent on loan to OH Leuven. Apparently he's done well there from what I've heard and seen. If he's good enough, He's a good attacking threat, I guess. If he wants to come back into the side or come into our side, sorry, not back into it. So if he's good enough, then maybe we use him as an extra attacking threat, I guess.
Maybe so. Again, I think we've said our pieces. There's 2 plays in no man's land where we really don't know what. We're both on the opposite sides of the spectrum for Daka. So if he does stay again, I don't think we'd bring that guy. I don't even know how to pronounce it. Opoku. I wouldn't even have to say his name properly, so I apologise for that. But it's a tough one, really. But like I said, this is our team of the players we've got right now, and obviously Praet isn't on the list. I just realised that's one, but he's as good as gone. He's obviously not.
He's out of contract this season.
And obviously we have put a few players in here that have been out of contracts, but it's not 100% certain whether they stay or go, because you would assume they would have signed a new contract by now, but there's no guarantees that happens. It does come down to the contract running out. But Praet, one, I think, if you asked me, I think he would have been all right in the Championship. But
he stayed with Newcastle, didn't he, when they went down, and he did well there. I think that's where we're going, isn't it, Sam?
Yeah, so obviously keep a look at it this week. Obviously, we've got a lot of videos coming out. I think Locks is going live tonight himself at 6:30, talking about, I've got it written down, I think he's talking about some issues that went on internally at the club. He's going to discuss it, I think maybe by himself and with you guys, obviously. So keep an eye out for that. It's 6:30 tonight. And throughout the week, we're going to be doing a lot more videos of breaking down stuff like this. Like we've done one where we're talking about who goes and who stays. We've got a lot of videos, including the regular ones, Jamie's show on Sunday, where we're talking about the issues that have gone wrong this season to really break it down, talk with the fans and see where it's gone wrong, really. And this is obviously one of the first ones, obviously the 3 we did yesterday. Hot topics to talk about, and Locks will do one today, and I'm sure we'll be doing another one later on in the week about what has cost us. I think the games that did cost us, just to break it down a lot more. But yeah, so just keep an eye out for obviously a lot more content.
And we will be doing a lot more transfer stuff videos when it comes to the transfer window opening.
In a few weeks when it opens up, we'll keep you updated whether it's right or wrong. We're just fans for the fans, so we can't be 100% accurate or know the truth. We're just going off what we see on the internet. So yeah, we'll try and bring you the best news that we can. So just keep with us, Championship, it is what it is, but we move on.
Yeah, no worries. Appreciate you all coming on, and we'll catch you on the next show. See you in a bit.